Ooh. Evening. Evening. Ooh. What's up, fam? What's up? Oh. Yeah, we will let everyone load in. I will show one matchup so far. Glossary, what's up, man? Hey, dude, G, are we having difficulty with Diplo? Really? I can only imagine. Only imagine. Oh yeah, I heard about that one. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that one as well. Yeah. V3J, what's up? Welcome. Council, what's up, man? Welcome. Yeah, we'll start in a sec here. Excuse me. Council, you asked, are we looking at all KvK matchups, or was there a separate one for BTXW? No, we're going to be looking at all matchups. So at least I should say the ones that I have got confirmations on. So that's kind of what I spent today doing. So for those of you that attended the stream last night, we were able to confirm 2 matchups last night. Since last night, for me going to sleep, waking up, and hearing from some people, and then reaching out, I think I've probably reached out to maybe 50 people today so far. Since that, excuse me, since that, I have confirmed all but I think 3 matchups, 2 for Road to Dawn, and then 1 for COC. Sorry, 3 for COC. So we have, I think, 2 COC matchups right now, and then we're only missing 2 for Road to Dawn, but the rest are confirmed at the moment. Some of them have some caveats, though, are relatively confirmed, I should say. So we're going to be, I'll be showing that off. And then once I get the remaining matchups confirmed, and or maybe tomorrow, I'll probably release a solo video on that. Because this time around, when I release the solo video for the matchups in just a more condensed format, I'm also going to include a voting form for the community so they can vote on who they think is going to win each matchup, or however many matchups they would like to vote on. And then we'll do a separate video on that probably at the start of KvK. So I'll probably let that run to the start of the KvK, which in this case will probably be the 9th or so a little bit less than a week. And then I'll do a separate video announcing that at the start of the KvK. And actually, maybe we'll do a live stream on that if I get a chance too. Because that's on the 9th, right? I think I have the day off. So yeah, either that or we'll do it Thursday going into reset. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do like a stream on Thursday and we'll announce the community votes on that. I think would be the plan right now. Yeah. Tis what we're thinking. Yeah. So let me see, where am I at right now for groups? Excuse me. Okay. Yeah. Janet, what's up? Welcome. What are your predictions on BTX versus WAO KvK? Yeah, I did give, kind of my predictions on it for, when I saw the matchup there. That was one of the ones that was announced. And I can tell you that one, I at least for me, I was leaning a little bit more, I should say, in favor of BTX. I do think the matchup is, and I'll talk about it once we get there as well, and I can show you the percentages as well, because we might even do some, I don't know if now that I think about it, maybe I'll wait to do the polling numbers. Instead of doing it on the live stream, maybe we'll do it in the forum. So for me, yeah, and once we get up there, we'll work our way up there as well here in a bit. But yeah, for me, it was leaning a little bit more, at least based on the numbers, a little bit more on the BTX side. Yeah, I mean, I do think the matchup relatively is pretty balanced, at least on paper, as always, right? Yeah, but this is the first official matchup announced. This is for the number 3 KvK group in COC for Calling of Courage. Yeah. Excuse me. Heroic, what's up? Diplo's a nightmare. We were told to wait until tomorrow to decide allies, and next thing you know, a couple hours later, that same R5 came into the Diplo chat saying they're allied already, so no need. Yeah, it's so funny you say that. I have already heard about, I think at least two matchups already that more or less were determined in that way. So yeah, and to be fair, it might actually be one of those might be your matchup as well, depending on which one you're in. So, but yes, that is one. I've heard of two so far that pretty much played out that way. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, it'd be nice if everyone kind of did stuff up front, you know, and there really weren't any kind of like backroom deals or people kind of in DMs or making private group chats, you know, especially if you're inviting everyone to like a Diplo Discord. And it's just, you know, it's kind of somewhat of the sad reality. You know, just not everyone is always going to operate in good faith, unfortunately, as much as it would be nice to see. Yeah. Muzin, what's up, man? Our KvK's OPB BF 22 NXG Gen okay, I think I have that one. What number is it? Wait, hang on, I can look real quick. One sec. Yeah, I do think I have that one though. Huh. Let me check on what the KvK number is for that. But I'm pretty sure. Who did you say? Who did you say again? That's 4072. Yeah, okay. So this one, I think I do have the matchup for that someone told me. So I'll show that as well in a sec. Yeah, Justin, what's up, man? Yo, same name, my boy. Moves to see you on the battlefield. Justin NXG, nice. Muzin's OPB, sweet. Yeah, I don't know where I was. 1738. Yeah, we'll get on with the announcements here in a sec. Council says, also, in my opinion, kingdoms with low power and number 1 KvK shouldn't be considered with their power being 1-1 because the 10 build can be stopped by 5 to 10 players from a 25 build. Yeah. So I did like 2 comparisons on that. And I think I'll probably do like a second version for some of these matchups that just doesn't include the kingdoms that are, you know, like severely lower powered. I did that for the number 1 group. It would only take a sec to probably do it for the others too as well. Yeah. Glossary. As I see it, Diplo should always prioritize the best fights. Who cares who wins? We play a war game, no wage war. To wage war, yeah. You know, that I will say that very much is and has always been my view on it. You know, and that comes from the standpoint of when you look at all the zones. So, you know, ideally you're talking, you know, zone 2, zone 3. Excuse me. Yeah, you know, so you're talking zone 2, zone 3, final zone. And this can obviously extend to statues too as well, but generally speaking, generally speaking, my view on this has always been, regardless if you get any action in Zone 2 or Zone 3, the matchup should be determined based on what would make the most balanced, fair, and longest lasting fighting in the final zone. And then if you are just fortunate to get Zone 3 or Zone 2, or obviously cross Zone 3 fights at that point, so be it. But it should always be kind of done with the end goal in mind, which is how do we include all of the kingdoms, right? Because if all the kingdoms are included, then that is when you only, that and only then is when you would have the opportunity to get the most amount of PvP. One of the biggest challenges, and again, I'll probably talk about this a little bit later as well. One of the biggest challenges right now is that, you know, when you play KvK maps that allow for you to end the KvK in Zone 3, once those cross Zone 3 passes open, you know, the past couple KvKs that we've seen, that the majority of them, over 50%, were done before the final zone opened. So it didn't matter at that point. And I've always felt like that is just absolutely the most disappointing thing, just because I just don't think people, I don't think people play KvKs for Zone 2s and Zone 3s. Like I just don't think that is the end all be all for players that play kingdom builders. Is like who wants to wait as long as they have just to get into a KvK, and then you're only ever going to get as much action as, you know, a Zone 3 will carry you. So, you know, I mean, you do have the potential of, you know, extending to either zone adjacent to you from your Zone 3, at least of course on maps that have the cross Zone 3 passes. But I don't know, man, to me it is and always will be about final zone action. You know, everything else up until that point is just an appetizer. And to me, it just sucks that the meal ends at the appetizer, right? Or at the second course, if you want to refer to the first course as Zone 2. So yeah, it's just like super disappointing. Just not something I would have expected people just to kind of like be okay with. It's kind of weird. So anyways, let's get to this. So all of our promo stuff is done-ski at the moment. So I'm going to go through each of the KvK groups, and I'm going to show you the matchups at the moment. And then if there's any disclaimers, I will read those. And then we'll work our way to the top, and we'll do this relatively quickly. And then from the top down, we'll start breaking down some of the KvKs and what our thoughts are. And, you know, obviously, if anyone has anything they'd like to share, you're more than welcome. So, Floppa, what's up, man? Has SOS 24076 already passed? What do you mean? No. So we're starting from COC and we're going to work our way up. And then, and I'm going to kind of give just a quick overview on each of the matchups, just so everyone can see them first. And then we'll go top down and kind of break down some of the matchups a little bit more. And then what I'll probably do is remove my face at some point, probably here in a sec, just because, at least for the ones that have a lot more rows that are required. Yeah, Pizza, what's up, man? Welcome. Okay, so for this, we have... in the first matchup, this is the one I was showing on screen. This is SOS 3113. So there's also 3114 and 3115, but I don't have those matchups yet confirmed by anyone. This is the matchup confirmed to me. Keep in mind, any matchups that you see here have to be confirmed by a member of management. So someone that is in management, is in diplomacy, or is getting updates on it, right? So they have to at least be an R4, R5, or a diplomacy rep. So for this matchup in 3113, this is COC for Calling on Courage. And this is the top, and then this is the bottom. Now, there is a note on here where the top half has informed me that they are allied with each other, but they're unsure on the bottom half. So the bottom half for this is just tentatively put there so you can see how it would look. But I haven't got a confirmation from anyone yet to indicate that the bottom half is truly allied, or maybe, you know, they're kind of separate and going to go solo, or maybe it's a kind of a nap situation. So I'm not sure on that one yet. However, we got about a 2 bill power differential that separates, 0.77% for PvP activity. You got a 54 for CH25 that separates, 8 mil average power differential. So you're talking 61 to 53 mil. And then we're at, right, 15 more 10 mil players. You got 10 more 30 mil merit players, excuse me. And then at 50 mil merits, it's 1-0, right? It's only one person on the top team. And then at 100 and 200 mil power, we're looking at 43 more at 156 to 113 for the top half here on MFS, or we could say Lend. And then at 200 mil, there's only one player at 200 mil, or sorry, this on both sides. So this is kind of a break even there for the differential. Okay, let's look at the next group. So SOS for this one, 130-12. I have not heard back yet. I have reached out, but nothing that I've been able to hear from someone where they've said, hey, we're still in discussion, or no, it's been fleshed out. So, you know, if there's a member of management out there and they want to provide an update, I'm happy to hear. This is the matchup right now for the number 1 Calling of Courage group. So for this one, we have a 3v4, just based on how the zones worked out, because Kingdom 5 was the only solo at the time. Excuse me. So it's OMG TT, GSS versus Mod AFK 7 Sin WER. We got about a 4 bill power differential that separates. We have a 2.81% PvP activity percentage that separates. That's in favor of OMG. 150 more CH25s on the WER side. You got 30 million power for average player power, and that's more on the OMG side, with obviously OMG and TT lending a lot more weight to that. And then we look at merits, and you got 195 to 174, so plus 21 there at 10 mil plus merits. That's in favor of OMG. At 30 mil, we're looking at 29 more, right? So that's double, essentially, or I guess 3 times the amount, about. Oh, man. The odds are coming out strong now. At 50 mil merits, we got 7, 8 to 1, so it's a plus 7 here, or plus, what is that, 800%. Then we get at 100 mil and 200 mil power, 33 more players at 100 mil that are in favor of OMG side. And then at 200 mil, it's plus 22, which is 25 to 3. So that kind of rounds us out for 31-11 on that group. I mean, yeah. Even though that the WR side has a little bit more power, I probably would still give it a little. I would probably still give the edge out to OMG, to the OMG team. Probably a little bit more than a little. I would say like a decent advantage they'd have, at least based on how it looks to me. Next group, now we're finally getting into the Road to Dawn. So with Road to Dawn, you here for this one, this is 40-75. So this is the matchup here. It's a little bit bigger to kind of fit on one screen, as you can tell. But I'll show you the sides real quick, and then we can take a look here in a sec at the differentials. I think I'm going for a record right now, man. It's got to be like 3 ons in 2 minutes. Scotty, what's up, man? Why would you not want to be able to have the KvK over in zone 3? If I can lock you out of the final zone, then that is what I want. So, Scotty, keep in mind, we're not saying that that no one should be allowed to end a KvK in zone 3. What we are simply saying is that if the objective, based on the question that was asked for what I answered, if the objective is to try and get the most amount of PvP throughout as much as possible for as long as possible throughout the season, the number one way you are going to accomplish this, where the majority or the bulk of your PvP seemingly should and usually is when it's done appropriately, is in the final zone. And the main reason for that is because, and it obviously comes with an asterisk, right? Because it's the final zone if all the kingdoms can make it there. And if that happens, historically speaking and consistently speaking from trends, is that you're usually seeing the bulk of your PvP being done there. That's why you heard me kind of giving that kind of appetizer second course comparison. But again, keep in mind, I always tell people can play however they want. It doesn't really matter to me. But I do think that there are common denominators. I think there are consistencies and trends that you can dissect, and you can look at the data to show that, where you can see that for yourself when you look at the number. Because for me, I monitor KvKs every season. So, you know, I'll also do recaps. I'll do updates on how the zones are playing out. And so, you know, for me, I kind of get to see things more consistently from a high level, an overview, if you will, on how the season played out. And did that season, you know, did they make it to the final zone? Did they not? How much PvP, how much merits were accumulated overall for all the kingdoms that participated, for kingdoms that made it only to zone 3 and ones that were able to have everyone make it to final zone? And I mean, you do notice there are differences. So again, that's more of the answer to that specific question. But as always, man, people can play however they want. If people want to end the KvK in zone 3 because they have the ability to, that's on them. All that really means is that, you know, you'll win the season earlier, but it's just less overall PvP that you're going to get. If people are satisfied with that, then so be it, right? Again, that's more kind of up to those individuals and to their management teams. For this group in 40-75, right? So we have about a 10 build power differential. This is going in favor of the LGF team. You got about a 1.14% PvP activity percentage. This goes in favor of the SWAF team here in 304, right? So a little bit more meaningful just because the numbers are lower. There we go, man. I'm going for the record. 220 CH25s. This is going in favor of the LGF team. All right, so 1,096 to 876. We have about a 5.36 mil power differential for average power player. That goes in favor here of, who am I looking at? Oh, yeah, it's the SWAF team for 304. And then we got plus 37 at 10 mil merits accumulated last season. So it's a plus 37, 133 to 96. At 30 mil merits accumulated last season, double. So that's 10 to 5 going in favor of the SWAF or Swag. I think this is Swag Kingdom. That was just the shell they were in at the time. And then at 50 mil merits, right, no one accumulated. Only 5 people accumulated 40 million merits or more, and that's a 3 to 2 advantage going in favor of the Swag team. We look at power. You look at 100 mil power, it's plus 65. So it's like about 50% more. That's going in favor of the Swag team up top. And then at 200 mil, it's a 2 to 1. And then obviously at 250, there's 1. And again, that's in favor of the Swag team up there. All right. Let's go to the next group here. So for this one, this is 40-74. And I'll show off all these real quick before we break this down. Galassi says, because it robs everyone involved of the glory found in Mass PvP. Don't get me wrong, strategically for the purpose of winning, it's smart to zone lock, but it's generally poor for the health of the PvP availability. Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, that's kind of, you know, where you're getting at. So, I'm not sure. What was there a 40-76? I thought it only went up to 75. I'll have to look. Oh, it did go up to 76. You're right. I'm looking at this right now. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know if we're going to cover 76, only because there are no active status kingdoms in 76. That's probably the only reason why I didn't add it. Because initially when I did the pool, we only covered KvK groups that had active status kingdoms in them, meaning they had at least 1,500 realm migration score points or higher. So even if that KvK group only had one of those kingdoms in, I would have documented it. So that's probably why. That would be my guess. for why that one in particular was not covered. Okay, showing off 74 here, right? So we have about a 2.36 bill differential, 58 to 55, almost 56 bill power for each side. 2.36 bill, that's in favor here, we'll say, of the SN team. Then we get a 0.5%, 0.58% PvP activity percentage. Again, very close here, but that's in favor of SN. We look at CS25. This is actually super close, only 5 differential. That's pretty nuts, but that's in favor of SN. Average power, that's actually going down in favor of NS here. So you got about a little less than 5 mil. And then we got 10 mil merits. This is 26 more players in favor of the SN team going north, 137 to 111. We got +6 here, 14 to 8 going in favor of SN. And then we got 1 to 2, so kind of a negative. So 1 going in favor down below for the NS team. And then we're looking at 100 mil power, super close here, only 2 differential. That's great to see. So 128 to 130. And then if we look at 200 mil, this is a little steeper, right? So this is like 5 times the amount, or plus 500,000, or sorry, no, 5 plus 500%. So 10 to 2. All right, so it's a +8, but that goes in favor of the NS team. Okay. Next group, we're going to look at is 4073 here. Tab, what's up, man? One of the 4 teams from 225 has migrated to 358. Wait to see how this will affect both kingdoms. So interesting. So we're going to do another pool once Brink of War finishes. Yeah. Dirtbox, what's up, man? Are you covering 4071? Yes, we're working our way up to those. Pepe, what's up, man? 4068 is finishing Diplo at reset, I believe. Oh, nice. I don't know if I have 68 or not. We'll have to take a look. So this one, a caveat though. So the top half, this is the interesting part about 4073 though. And I don't think I have I don't, yeah. So 4073 here for this one, and I'll show this off before I kind of read my caveat that I noted. Okay, good. So the top half. So the top half for this one is allied. The bottom half apparently is all solo. So each of the zones are kind of independent and for themselves from what I've been told. Again, if that changes, then I will update this accordingly. But for now, even if they are independent and solo, right, we're kind of showing you what the potential final zone matchup could be, right, if everyone kind of aligns. So for this one, right, 74.7 to 72.5, so about a 2.21 billion power differential, so very small. 1.6% PvP activity, but that goes in favor of the top team, which we'll say is going to be VTR in this case. Then you look at CH25s, 56 more in favor of VTR, and then we look at average power per player, 2.44, almost 2.5 million. That goes in favor of the southern front, that's CFRA. And then you look at 10 mil merits, 64 more players here that are on 10 mil merits as in favor of VTR. 30 mil, we're looking at +15. That's almost double in favor of the VTR side. And then 3 to 4, this actually goes the other way in favor of CFRA. 100 mil, super close, 196 to 202, right? Only a +6. That goes in favor of the CFRA team. At 200 mil, it's 3 to 0. So, or sorry, not 3 to 0. It's even. So it's 3-3 on each side. All right, let's go to 72. So now we're getting to like a little bit less kingdoms. So it's going to be easier to see things overall here on that. So for this one, we have, where are we looking? So 81.5 to 78 bill, so about a 3.4 billion power differential. Then we're looking at PvP activity percentage. It's 1.6%, but that goes in favor of the southern teams. That's VP22, and then GX on the top. So we look at CH25s. You got a +95. That goes in favor of GX. 4.5 mil average power, so pretty small. It's not really too significant at that point, but that goes in favor of VP22. Then we look at merits accumulated last season. So you're looking at +37. This is 361 to 398. So +37, that goes in favor of VP22. At 30 mil merits, it's +9. So still in favor of VP22 side. And then lastly, at 50 mil, we have 5 to 2. So that's +3 in favor of VP22. When we look at power, we have very close here, 380 to 384. That's, again, nice to see. So this is a +4 excuse me, still plus 4, but that's in favor of the GEX team. At 200 mil, it's 7 to 8, so this is a plus 1 in favor of VP22. Let me see here. Oh, Musen said OPV VP20. I don't know if I heard that from who told me about the matchup on this one. Yeah, I'll have to. I mean, if there's someone in management in R4, R5 that can tell me that that they are alone, I will update. I'll add a note. I just don't know if anyone has told me that yet. But if I hear that from someone in management, then absolutely I'll update it. Yeah. Okay. Zev, yeah, if you want to shoot me a Discord message and let me know his Discord, excuse me, if able, then I can reach out. Absolutely. Yeah. I can add a note that just says, we'll do it like this. 406 may be solo, confirm first. And then I'm going to put a timestamp. So I'll just do that, just so I at least have something there. That's also a friendly reminder for me. And then whoever was asking about 4071, here we are. There is a note I'll read here as well. So for this one, 201 apparently has... Whoa, where's 201? Am I tripping? Oh, sorry. It should be... Oh, that's why I don't have them included on here. Okay, I think it's because they were also smaller powers. That's probably why. So they apparently went FFA, so they're not on a team at the moment, but I think they were a little bit smaller power, so that's just why they're not included on this one. However, we have 67 to 65 bill power, so this is a 1.65 billion differential. This goes in favor of the FSK team. We have a 0.58% PvP activity percent differential, which is very close and nice. So we have, again, 11.7, 0.58% to 12.35%. Right, so this goes in favor of, we'll say, the BEK team, as highest power there. When we get to CH25, 64 more on the FSK team. Average power per player at CH25, we're at 89 to 96. This is plus 7 mil. That's in favor of the BEK team. At 10 mil merits, it's plus 44. That's in favor of the BEK team at 355 to 311. At 30 mil merits, it's plus 8. This is in favor of the FSK team at 43 to 35. At 50 mil merits, we're plus 10 in favor of the FSK team, 18 to 8. And then the last two for 100 mil, it is a plus 36, but going the other way. This is in favor of the BEK team at 327 to 291. And then at 200 mil, it's only a 2 differential. So a little bit smaller here, 10 to 8, but that is going in favor of the FSK team. Then let's go ahead. But did I just hear a Fetty? What? Fetty, what is the guy talking about? All right, let's go up to the next group. So here's for 4070. Never pro, can't change history counts. So for 4070, the only note on here is that apparently MFD and BPD have decided to play free-for-all. And however, there is a second part here. It's free-for-all potentially for Zone 2, Zone 3. But then once they get to the final zone, they plan to join who's ever the weakest group. So again, for purposes, if it ends up being the GDW, WW Mojo VKG group, then okay, so be it. However, I have included them on that site just so you could potentially see what that final zone matchup would look like. But yes, that has been at least confirmed with me at the moment. If Abda or someone from BPD says otherwise, of course, I will update. But for this one, we have what would be about a 5 bill power differential, but this is going in favor of 1UP. Then we look at the PvP activity percentage, pretty close, 1.38%, but this goes in favor of the WW team. And then we get to CH25. So this is a plus 30, very close here at 1,068 to 1,098, but that goes in favor of the one-up team. Average power per player, super close, and I actually really like to see that. 1.88 mil, so less than 2. And this, again, goes in favor of one-up. At 10 mil merits, plus 42, and that's going in favor of the WW team. At 30 mil, plus 9 at 44 to 35, that goes in favor of the WW team. They break even, or sorry, break even at 40 and 50 mil merits as well, so that's nice to see. At power, we got plus 39 at 100 mil, and that's going in favor of the one-up team at 498 to 459. And then at 200 mil, only a 1 differential, so very close, even 250, 300, like very close with the amount. So, you know, that definitely leaves me optimistic. So that is for 4070. Yeah. Glossy says, I can also confirm what you have there. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Myth got best MP ratio with 18%. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So these are the two I have not, so these are the two for 69 and for 68, which would be the number 4 and number 5 KvKs for Road to Dawn. These ones I've reached out to people there. However, the management peeps that messaged me back just said that they're still in discussion. So just nothing has been finalized yet. With that in mind, let's go to the number 3 KvK. So for the number 3 KvK, and I might be able to bring my face back now, possibly here. Yeah, this isn't too bad. So I'll just kind of edge myself out a little bit more. So for this one, actually I need to redo this because I said I'm going to do this based on not the voting that we did on the live stream, but I'm going to do this based on the forum. So for this one, now we're getting to the top 3, right? This is seemingly like the top 3 KvKs that most people are going to be looking at, I imagine, just depending on, you know, how the matchups look for number 4 and 5 at 68 and 69. But for 67, we have, excuse me, a 1 bill power differential. So that's actually pretty good. Obviously, it would be a little bit lower if you remove Z. And so, you know, we kind of gave an example of that yesterday, but I can do that. So let me just copy and we'll delete. So this is probably a little bit more accurate at that point too as well. So, and we'll kind of add that back in here in a sec, but you're looking at what would be a 2.5 bill differential, right? That goes in favor of ROG. I love the fact that this says 0.01% for PvP activity when you just think about how close this is. I mean, this is like super, this is very, very balanced so far. 70 CH25 differences, that goes in favor of 25 IW. If you're looking at average power per player, about 16 million more, that goes in favor of ROG team. So, I mean, that's a little something. Then we look at 10 mil merits plus 12 to the ROG team at 434 to 422, plus 12 again at 30 mil merits. That's in favor of the ROG team. And they break even at 50 mil merits, 4 and 4 apiece. At 100 mil, it's a plus 22 in favor of ROG. At 200 mil, it's plus 12, so that's double, more than double for 25 IW at 10 to 22. So this is the matchup there for them. I'm going to throw in the 104 again. Now let's go to the second matchup. So the second confirmed matchup here, and I think this was one of the ones within that top 3 we didn't have yesterday. But this is S2AK RFF SCL going up against 3-3 RAC LXV. So there's a 1.9 bill power differential that separates. That's in favor of RAC. 0.41% on PvP activity percentage. That's great. But again, that goes in favor of RAC. 102 more CH25s. That's in favor of S2AK team. 720 to 626. And then at average power, it's plus 18 mil, a little bit more. And that's in favor of the RAC team at 113 to 95. Oh man, they're really coming out now. Then we get to merits at 10 mil plus 7, so very close. I like seeing that. This is in favor of the RAC team though. 30 mil merits plus 11. That's in favor of RAC 91 to 80. At 50 mil, going the other way here, 18 to 17, so plus 1 in favor of S2AK team. And then lastly for power, we're looking at 100 mil plus 51, and that's in favor of the RIC team at 379. And then at 200 mil, super close, 27 to 28, so just a +1 in favor of S2AK. Then we get to the number 1 KvK, which we showed off and did talk about yesterday. For this one, this is without, so this is kind of that variation that I was explaining a little bit before. So you have the first version, which is without the kind of CD kingdoms, maybe some Bs in there, right? Some BCDs. In that case, it'd be WTF Dawn and then Rage and Wind, right? So they kind of average between 8 and 13 to 14 bill power. So for just kind of simplistic purposes, I am showing you kind of how the 3v3 would look without them in there, but we also have a version off to the side. So for this one, I mean, it's not bad. 0.23 billion power separates. That's fantastic. Margins are good. Also means they relatively have about the same amount of kind of troops trained available. If you look at PvP percentage, it's 1.72. I mean, for the numbers here, I still think that's pretty low. I think that's fair. All right, so 16.7, 17.36, or sorry, excuse me, 15.9 to 14.19. That's in favor, though, of the BTX team. If we look at CH25s, plus 95, so 731 to 826, that's in favor of WAO. If you're looking at average power per player, almost 12.5 million, and that's at 122 to 112 in favor of the BTX team. If we're looking at merits accumulated last season, we have plus 32, so it's 520 to 488. That's in favor of BTX. 30 mil merits accumulated. This is a plus 27, again, in favor of the BTX team at 145 to 118. And then lastly, at 50 mil merits, only a plus 2 differential, 30 to 32, and this goes the opposite way in favor of WAO, so it's not bad. At power, at 100 mil, this is plus 37. That goes in favor of WAO at 536 to 499. At 200 mil, now we're swinging the opposite way, and this goes 83 to 73 in favor of the BTX team. So that's where we're at the moment, right? So those are all the matchups currently that we have. Now, we did do a poll yesterday, and the poll we did yesterday was, I don't even know how many, maybe like 120, 130 people voted, I think, something around there. And at that time, they voted 55% in favor of WAO, with BTX only having 46 or 45% chance. So, you know, kind of take that for what you will. But again, these are the matchups, at least at the moment, and for the ones that I have been apprised on. Like I said, the only ones we don't have right now is 40, 68, and 69, because at least from what I had heard about 2 to 3 hours ago from these people, from at least the rep from each of those I spoke to, they just weren't finalized yet. And then the only other one we don't have on here, I think, is 31, 12, and then 31, 14, and 15. So 3 from COC we're missing, and then 2 from TRTD, right? So a total of 5 KvKs at the moment that we just don't have the matchups for. But again, it's day 1. I mean, at this point, it's been almost 24 hours since groups were announced. There's a chance it might take 1 or 2 more days, right? So we'll see how those play out, of course. But yeah, so for those of you that would like to look at these, what I'll probably do as far as porting wise is I'm probably going to wait to port these over to the public sheet until I at least allow for maybe another day, maybe half a day to pass, just to see if we get any more. Though to be fair, I might just wait at least to get the remaining Road to Dawn matchups, and then maybe the number 2 one from COC. So if it takes another day or 2 at minimum, you know, that's okay. We can always kind of put the video out anytime. But yeah, these are the ones that we have so far. Yeah, I'll go back down now and kind of show these one by one for some of these, just in case people are just tuning in and they'd like to look. All right, we're looking 47. Glossy says, hell yeah, Ronan's good luck your side too, yeah. Kanto, what's up, man? Good luck to Vikings. This KvK looks like a fun one. Hi from a Ronan. Halunky, what's up, man? Myth got best M over P ratio with 18.02%. From last season, from last season they might. Now that I think about it. Ooh, all right, let's look at this one. Yeah, no, absolutely, Kanto. Yeah, that to me, that's why you know the PvP percentage I think last season on average was lower for most. So yeah, to me, I think the numbers are underestimated for quite a few alliances. So hopefully this season will be more of a accurate indicator for kind of average PvP activity throughout a season. Absolutely. Conda says, yeah, some alliances got so much more PvP. No, absolutely. And this is 71. We'll look at the next one here. Yeah, we'll look at a few. Hank, what's up, man? Yeah, we made a note. So the note on here was that they might be solo, but I need to confirm first from an R4 or R5 of either one of the kingdoms that can confirm that, or from VP22 or OPB themselves. If they do, then I'll update it and change it accordingly. Yeah, these are the lower RTDs, and then the COC here. This is the top one, the top group in COC. Yeah. And then the other one we have is the third one here for COC. So we're just showing those off again real quick. We'll just head back to the top now. Yeah, you know, I will say I'm at least a bit happy that we didn't end up seeing, you know, any massively lopsided KvKs. Personally, I mean, I take that as a win, man. Quite a few of these are actually pretty balanced, starting from the number 1 KvK on down. So I think that's actually going to be something to look forward to this season. I've actually heard this from a handful of people so far that, you know, they're a little optimistic just because of the fact that the matchups aren't, you know, god awful, at least on paper. You know, we'll have to see, of course, how they play out once we get into the KvK. Yeah, I know one of the things I do have to do is update pass openings, because I think there was 1 KvK, which is the YSS one. I know they're in zone 2 right now, but I don't know how much more PvP is really happening there currently. So yeah, should be good though. I mean, like I said, I'll probably do a little bit of a simplified overview when I release the video, probably in a day or two, I imagine. Like I said, I mainly want to wait to get and hear from the remaining kings or queens, or as I said, their management teams, so I can update. Yeah. Also, I finally had a chance to watch the new Fallout episode last night. Good stuff. And oh my gosh, there's this new anime that just debuted today. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of hooked, man. Like, they did this thing where I think they released like the first 3 episodes, and they just kind of made it almost to like a long movie form all together for episode 1. It was pretty cool. Oh my god, what's it called? Because it just released today. And it was actually pretty good. Okay. Oh, it's called Sentenced to Be a Hero. Yeah. On Crunchyroll, really good stuff. And there's this other show I just watched, I think it was yesterday or the day before. It's called Jack of All Trades, Party of None. Really good. Yeah, so those are like 2 shows I'm already kind of high on right now. New ones that just came out this season. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah. Contest's name, please. Wait, name for which one? Krista, what's up? It's just sad to see the fodder servers being just thrown into our KvK. What is a 5.8 mil power kingdom doing against 30 bills? We looked at their farms and they're under 5 bill combat power like poor. Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's no disagreement here, right? I mean, if you look at those kingdoms, they're over here. Right? So if you look at like the number 1 KvK, you're looking at WTF, Dawn, and then Rage and Wind, right? Like, I just don't think any of these kingdoms should have been placed into the number 1 group. It just does not really make any sense to me. So I can effortlessly agree there. I mean, they range between 8 and 14 bill. You know, you're under half, even at the high point. Yeah. Monkey Man, what's up? Did you see To Be Hero X? Huh, why does that sound super familiar? To Be Hero X. Oh, I did, dude, so I haven't watched this. It has amazing ratings. Yeah. Yeah, it has amazing ratings. But no, I haven't watched it yet. I have it on my queue. But I think you're the first person to ask me about this show. The Anime's Peak. Okay. Like, sure, they'll be... Crystal says, like, sure, they'll be easy for us to kill, but I feel so sad for them. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Nostra anime. Yeah. Okay. Listen, man, I'll do this for you. I will try and watch the first episode tonight at some point. I don't know how high I am on the anime, the art style, because we'll see. It was kind of giving me like those Final Fantasy art style for some of the thumbnails I saw. But again, we'll see. I mean, you should always give a show at least 1 or 2 episodes worth of a shot, I think. Yeah. Crystal says, do you have a more main fighting server? Do you have a main fighting server, or are you more or less? If you're asking me, Crystal, no, I don't. So, yeah, I don't really actively play anymore. I used to up until the project I did in 65 for the time I was there. But now I log in, I'll do some dailies, and I make accounts. So, I have an account in every single kingdom, which I think is almost up to about 850 right now. And then, I keep myself kind of tuned in to the pulse of the community in a number of different areas. And then, I love covering KvKs and wars, and, I'll do interviews and a couple other things too as well. So for me, that's just kind of more where my enjoyment is, for what I like and what I get out of the game that, gives me a sense of fulfillment. I know it can be different from, for everyone, but that's kind of the short version for me. Monkey said it's a mix of 2D and 3D. Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of how it looked. Tenzi, what up, baby? Monkey says they really did good animation. Okay, it has great reviews on Crunchyroll. I just took a look. So yeah, I'll definitely at least give episode 1 or 2 a watch. At least 1 episode for sure. Tenzi says this next KvK is gonna be hella lag. Yeah. Not sure what's I meant. When will you do a new video about top alliances? Probably this week, to be honest. Probably this week, because I'll probably ask. So either tomorrow. I'll probably ask Ezio tomorrow on Sunday or Monday at the latest, so the 4th or the 5th. I'll ask him if he can shoot me another scan. Either that, or I need to wait until Brink of War finishes. Which... Give me a sec. I gotta look at the stage. Because isn't training stage at the end now? Yeah. So training stage is at the end. So that means I'm probably gonna, because it's the 4th right now. 5th will start, and we got 3 days until, yeah. So I'll probably have to wait until Brink of War concludes and the season begins. Probably. I only say that because, yeah. I only say that because if I do it now, then the problem is that you will have a number of people who will say, well, boss, why didn't you just wait to do it when Brink of War ended? Because people are powering up, right? So I would probably rather wait until the 9th. I can ask for a fresh scan on the 9th, and then I can go ahead and crank out the videos from there. So that's probably a better answer for me, is I would say the earliest, I will do them this month, but the earliest you'll probably see those would be on Friday the 9th, so in about 6 days. Yeah. Yeah. Tinsy says, you know, it's in 5 days. Do you pay for scans? So I don't, and that's just because of the relationship I have with Fuzzy and the Hero Scrolls people. Right, and also because the scan that I get is more customized than kind of what they're traditionally providing. Or I should say what traditional service providers in that area will provide to kingdoms or alliances. And that's just because I've asked for specific things that I look for. And I also promote them in exchange for that. And the last thing I would say is that I guess you could maybe say I'm kind of like grandfathered in a sense, because I've been working with Fuzzy since before he joined Hero Scrolls. Like back when it was just him getting it started after he kind of had left doing some data stuff on the rock side, and he was interested in getting into Call of Dragons. And so I kind of connected with him when he was building everything kind of out from scratch. And I've been pretty, you know, faithful and loyal as well. So yeah, that's I guess the short version on that one. So, but you know, it's always been a good service. You know, I've been with Fuzzy and kind of followed him around. I don't even know how long it's been now, maybe a year and a half. Something around there. It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah, but Nasha, when I do the video, probably as early on Friday, we'll probably go like top kingdoms, top players. I also need to do like a big free-to-play video too as well, because I need to ask people, because when I do the next free-to-play video, I'm also going to ask the free-to-play players how far along they are with decorations, how far they are along with, like, you know, War Pet, how many maxed heroes do they have? Do they even have a maxed hero? Do they have a maxed artifact? So like in those 4 areas for heroes, artifacts, war pets, and decorations, I'm going to ask them those questions to see how far along they are. And then I'm going to note that. So those will kind of be like the 4 new things I include on the next top free-to-play list, just so people can get an idea about how far along these people are for how long they've been playing. And I think that's really important. Yeah. Yeah. Tinsy says decorations. I can answer very fast. Yeah, it's probably that. Ducky says no free to play, has over 7% deco buff. I bet. Yeah, but for me, like, that's the thing I want to show off, right? I think because I'm kind of in this unique position where I pretty much have all of the top free to play players that are on my Discord in our private free to play group, you know, and we're always adding more people to it as well. You know, I want to be able to kind of give them a voice, and also for the community to see, you know, these are basically the top free-to-play players in the game that have literally spent no money. You know, how far along are they? So that way people can see for themselves, at minimum, if you don't spend, this is how long it takes, right? This is what's achievable, what's not achievable, what's realistic, what's not realistic. Being able to showcase that information in a transparent way, for me, is incredibly important. So, you know, that's absolutely something I'm going to include the next time around. Yeah, I also, this week, I'm going to actually try and do some, like, some top player surveys as well. As in, I'm going to try and ask, like, the top 300 fighters in the game. And I'm going to ask them, and just, you know, or maybe the you know, top 200 to 300 strongest players, something around there. And I'm going to ask them, like, what they think about decorations. Like, I really want to get some good feedback. and ask these people like, hey, do you like decorations? If so, why? Do you not like them? If so, why? You know, should they be in the game or not? You know, should free-to-play players be able to access, you know, the upper tier legendaries as an example, or even, you know, level them up in a realistic period of time? But yeah, I definitely want to ask some of these questions to the top either strongest players or top fighters in the game. Like, I want to do more of those kinds of surveys because I think there's a lot you can learn from that, even if it's a matter of asking the top 300 fighters in the game, you know, hey, what's the best rally garrison combos right now? You know, what's best open field pairing? Like, if you had to work on one pairing for each type, what would it be? You know, what's the best war pet? All of those things I think are great topics to do because you're hearing from the people that, and keep in mind, no one really does this because it takes a lot of work. But the idea is that you get to hear from the people that are on the front lines, the people that are fighting the most in the game, that have a lot of material unlocked. So they're able to do a lot more trial and error testing and kind of figure out what works for them. But I also think it's great to hear from these people because it also gives them a voice on, you know, what is kind of the meta, right, on the upper end echelon of the game, you know, as it pertains to PvP. So those are things I want to do. I want to start doing a lot more of. I used to do them a bit, but it's one of the things that, even though it does take a lot of time to do, I've kind of figured out how I can maybe save myself some time on doing some of those things. Because most of that you kind of have to do in game. You just really have to kind of go down the list one by one and DM people in game. So it just takes a lot. Now, obviously, you know, if I can get all them on a Discord or something like that, and I can figure a way to, you know, if the top 300 strongest players or top 300 fighters in the game all have Discord, then yeah. But last time I tried to do that, it didn't work out so well. And so I just opted for in-game. So, but yeah, definitely something on the list to try and tackle this week. Absolutely. 60, yeah. Sorrow, what's up, man? Ducky lost a bet today. Kanto, I have 5% attack buff, and I only bought a $1 pack for Decos. Jeez. Yeah, Dope Man, what's up, man? No free-to-play is over 5%. Okay. Sorrow says 7.2% Ducky. I'm on 6%, I think Ducky says. I'm going to be at 7.2, Sorrow says, for a while. Completely dry on blueprints. Ducky says, yeah, Loki, I don't see how devs think free-to-play can max a deco in 7 months. So that's interesting. So the 7 months thing came about, and if anyone here watched the player dev meeting interviews I did with the 5 attendees across 3 videos that went to that meeting, Platypus, the lovely lady there, she was the queen of Kingdom 3 for RK. I believe this is her last season, either last season or I think she said it was last season, that she's just going to be kind of playing and advising, but not doing anything in management anymore. She had said that she ran the numbers and it was shared with the other kings and queens as well that attended, and that it does take longer than 7 months to specifically do the lower tier legendaries. Apparently they said that free-to-play, that they don't plan to make it where free-to-play can access the upper tier legendaries. Only the lower tier legendaries. That's still going to be pay gated or paywalled. That's what they said. So, yeah, kind of take that how you see fit. Sorrow said 7 years. Yeah. I mean, I think Killam even ran, and I don't know if he did it or he got it from someone else, but even he ran some numbers, and there was a little infograph image that was going around from after they did the update where they added more of these 2 events, where they added more of the decorations to some of these additional events and to the merit store, etc. And he did an updated one that had like 3 different breakdowns on how long it was taking now. And I think his was even a bit longer as well. Yeah. Chan, what's up, man? Welcome. Ducky says, yeah, making free-to-play be restricted from a thing as huge as decorations is bad. Yeah. I mean, my thing, you know, when we talked about it, when I was doing the interview and I was sitting down with Lev and Jason and Doom and Platty, you know, my thing, the comparison I gave them, and I gave the same one to Abda2 as well over at MFD, was that the way the whole upper and lower tier legendary decorations thing feels to me would be as if they made an upper and lower tiered legendary hero or upper and lower tier legendary artifact. I mean, just like, you know, part of me just feels like, man, nobody would go for that. But you can almost argue that epic heroes are kind of that. Like, you could make an argument and say epic heroes are kind of like a lower tier legendary. You know, and to them, to the devs, they probably think, well, you know, if that is their line of thinking, okay, well, this thing's kind of already in the game, so why don't we add this? I think the challenge is that it probably just rubs people the wrong way. I bet you it would be perceived differently. Absolutely. I bet you psychologically it would be perceived differently if instead of them doing a lower and upper tier legendary, they just did legendary, epic, and then the tier below that. Compared to them doing how they have done it, which is doing an upper and lower tier legendary. Like, if they just made the lower tier legendary epic, I think people would probably still feel a certain way, but it wouldn't feel as bad or as rough around the edges, I should say. Kanto says, as a free-to-play, you also need to get over an extra 1 million merits every week, specifically for decos. Yeah, we'll see. There you go. And that's the other thing too as well, right? It's the barrier of entry. How many free-to-play are going to hit their merit goals and requirements every week to get the max amount of decorations for that lower tier legendary that they need? And will they be able to do it consistently? Yeah. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, there's other, and you know, and again, also you have to account for what else, whatever else you may need to buy, right, in the shop. So it's just, yeah, man, it's rough. I'll say that. Visually speaking, it looks rough. Verbally speaking, it sounds rough. Physically speaking, it feels rough. Yeah, but. You know, I want to hear from the free-to-play peeps on what they think about it. And maybe we'll even interview a couple of the top free-to-play players together and just kind of ask them what their thoughts are on this kind of progression of, you know, SVIP, the Requiem, right, for the double city skins you can stack, eventually decorations being released. Like, I'm just curious on how, you know, like, how do they feel about it? I think there's one other thing I'm missing that I forgot to mention too as well. Can't think of it right now. Tinsy says it's 3.2 million extra merits per week after decos added. Jeez. Tucky's like, most are going to have the same answer. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, man, I can't imagine it's going to be a fun time, you know? Yeah. I mean, it goes back to that, one of those things I was saying where, you know, my view on even gold chests is, when you're just talking about the actual heroes, is that my view is every single legendary hero should be accessible through free-to-play means. Right? That would account for your Lilia, any of the other paywall gated heroes, just as one example. And you should be able to access those. Like, after, even if you're introducing a new hero, and let's say you want to make it paywall gated for maybe a period or a short amount of time, fine. But eventually, in addition to that method, it should be added to the gold chest. So that way people can access them for free. In addition to this, once you max, I actually think you should take it a step further. Once you max out a legendary hero, that hero should be removed from your gold chest. So that way, now your percentages increase, generally speaking, to then pull other heroes. The reason I say this is because you have to understand how long it already takes to max legendary heroes as a free-to-play. This is not by any means or stretch of the imagination a fast process. So even by doing that, it still would be incredibly long to do, but they would feel a bit better. So yeah, it's wild to me. Wild to me. So, you know, it's like some people or maybe the devs think that if they do stuff like that, free to play is just going to end up having like 20 maxed out legendaries in a year. Like, no, that's not realistic. Yeah, man, it's wild to me. Yeah, and there you go, and that's it. And that's it, right there from Ducky, right? You max out a legendary, and then you got new gen heroes that are coming out. And, you know, spenders are maxing them out in days. Yeah, Tenzi says 300k epics per day, 7 of those, and then 600k on the lower tier legendary chest every week, and 250k times 2 on the blueprints. Okay. Kada says, yeah, you have to skip the epics unless you get 40 plus merits, 40 million plus merits a season. Yeah, they are so expensive. Yeah. Yeah, Swadok, what's up, man? It takes like 3 to 4 seasons. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, no, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's just like there is no realistic fear at the moment from any potential people that spend a decent amount of the game where they could even make an argument to say, oh, well, if we do these things, or, you know, we start buffing free to play, now all of a sudden they're going to catch up to us that much faster and the game's not going to be any more fun. You know, I just say, yeah, I just don't think it's realistic. Ducky says, yeah, no point of even having epic decks are not worth doing. Yeah, and so it's funny you say that, Ducky, because to me, this is the exact point I brought up when Abda and I were talking, was that realistically, even when I was playing free to play, I never cared for doing anything with epic heroes. Now, that doesn't mean that I would never level them up or I would not invest in them, but it was always a secondary, right? So the priority was, let me do everything I can to grind and invest into my legendaries. But then if I have anything left over that I just can't use on a legendary, then I'll invest it into an epic kind of approach, right? And that was just me. And maybe some other people have a similar way of looking at it, or some people will say, well, you know, let me invest in a couple epics right now just for now, but then I'll start, you know, doing 100% investment in the legendaries after I kind of get a couple of them or however many to a point that I want. Then okay. But even for my time playing Rock, my time playing Infinity Kingdom, now CoD, right when I was actively playing in the beginning, I never looked at it like, oh yeah, let me max out all these epics. No, it's the reason why like nobody sits there and like maxes out elites, but like you might use some of these heroes for things like gathering as an example, right? But you know, or for some other element in the game. But yeah, so I do agree. Yeah, I think for me, the most interesting part that I can't wait to find out is when I ask the free-to-play players like how far along they are on certain things, and then people can kind of see. I think that's going to be incredibly interesting. Ducky says, only time you use epics is if you have a support march, or you're free-to-play, which maybe even then you don't use. Yeah. Like for me, I think even when I was playing Rock and I would use epics, it would be for like PvE events at most, and then maybe like gathering as an example, right? Maybe I'd use some here for like barb farming or chaining, etc. Right, but it was, you know, it was always, like I said, a secondary. It's like, what can I do to invest and get the most out of my legendaries and progress those first and foremost, and then, you know, anything I kind of have extra, right, we'll invest there. Wild times. Wild times. Oh, hang on, I got some DMs. Let me see here. Wonder if I got some updated matchups, maybe. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Do you, oh, let me ask. Let me see here. Do you by chance know what your KvK matchup is yet, or still discussing? Okay, just asked. Did we get this one already? Yeah, we did. Okay, I don't need that one. Cool. Yeah. Cool. All right. Looks like we're good there. Rhino, what's up, man? What was this one? Ooh. What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome. So funny. I got someone DMing me right now who's asking me, he's like, hey, how did you get this matchup for one of these groups? And I guess the way it's coming off is like it appears the player's shocked that I got it this quickly. And what's so funny is I had another player who was an R4 from another kingdom that I had DM'd. And dude, I should let me read you this interaction. I should talking mushroom you not, man. It was so funny. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Okay, here's the interaction, right? So I reached out and I said, hey, wanted to reach out to see if your matchup has been decided yet for your group, or is it still being discussed? The player responds back 3 minutes later and says, I quote, how do you have time for this? Question mark. The player says, how do you have time for this? And then the next question, which I guess could maybe come off as slightly creepy, even though that, of course, wasn't the intent. The player then asks, because I don't know if it's a guy or girl. The player then asks, "How did you know I was even online? Question mark, bruh." Oh man, I'm gonna be honest, man. That kind of made my day a little bit because it was funny to me. But then they were super nice and they sent me the matchup and we chatted for a little bit. So yeah, super cool. But yeah, but I said I was gonna do this last night, right? When we streamed last night, I told people, I said, look, we already had 2 matchups confirmed, and I said, look, if anyone reaches out to me, by the time I go to bed, from after the stream until I wake up, I'll plug those in. But I said for any matchups I don't have yet, I'm gonna reach out to players. And that's what I do every KvK. So I'll DM, I'll find people's names on Discord, or I'll message them in game, and I go to like a couple alliances in each group, and I'll just message management people. And so it took me a while. Like I was probably about until 30 minutes before I got off work, I was still collecting matchup information. So, and the fact is, I only have 5 left at this point. So yeah, we were doing pretty good. I mean, probably 2 in reality that I really need. The other 3 are like iffy, essentially. But yeah, I thought the interaction was funny. Yeah. Ryan, Ray, what's up, man? Hey, Runners, do you want to know 4072? I have 72. Yeah. The only ones I don't have is 70. No, not 6. So I don't know if I'm gonna do 6. Yeah, the only ones I don't have are these. Is 68, 69, but that's because I already reached out and someone from management told me that they're still in discussion, so nothing's been confirmed yet. At least at the time that I did reach out, which was probably 5 or 6 hours ago. And then the only other one is, this one, 3112. So I haven't heard back from anyone yet in regards to 3112. So that's one. And then there's also 3114 and 15, but I'll probably get those at a later time. Rhino says, what do you have for 72? This is what I have for 72. So, however, the one note I have on here for 72 is that someone had mentioned that 22, 172, and 406 might be a solo zone, but I haven't confirmed that yet. So I need to hear that from someone in management, either from that kingdom or someone else that is from one of the other kingdoms but was in diplomacy. Trig, what's up, man? Hey, being check Discord DM for 4069. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Rhinos is saying his zone is solo. Oh, so you are solo. Rhinos, are you in management? I don't know. I don't know if you are or not. Okay, cool. Trig sent me 4069. Oh, dope. Look, we can fill. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Trig. Thank you. Let me see. Rhinos is like, I'm not in management, but it's confirmed. Listen, I believe that you believe that. I'm just saying I got to hear from management respectfully, right? Just so I can consistently apply my due diligence. So if someone as an R4, R5 from your kingdom can just confirm, if they want to shoot me up in Discord and be like, yeah, hey, that's right. Absolutely. He's like, it's confirmed. It's confirmed. I appreciate that. Again, man, I always follow through on my due diligence. That's just, that's how I apply my accuracy. But I do appreciate you saying that. Oh, yeah. If you got a screenshot and it's like an announcement or something, I'll take that. I will accept that. Absolutely. Okay, damn, dude, Trig is coming in hard right now. Oh my God. Okay, so. All right. Wow. That is ballsy, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like it. Wow, that's crazy. I think this is the first time in history I've seen a KvK do, maybe the second time, now that I'm really thinking about this. Okay, so apparently 4069, and I'm going to show you this here in a sec. Hang on, let me scroll up here. Where is it? Okay, so 4069 with ED, BNR, DND pod, FR, HD. Trig just confirmed with us, and Trig's with FR and 403, that they are all going solo. So it's going to be a straight up free for all until the final zone, where they said that they'll do Diplo for the final zone. Nuts. Nuts. It's pretty ballsy, man. That's cool. I'll be honest, man, that's probably going to be one to watch then. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for that, Trig. I appreciate the update. So nice. So nice. Rana says, I send you the message, but you translate to English. Damn it, I gotta run this through Translate now? I mean, my man's over here giving me steps. Listen, it would just be easier, maybe at that point, for you just to be like, hey man, just reach out to an officer or R5 and be like, hey, can you shoot boss a DM real quick? No, it's okay. I mean, no, you could send me the unedited one. I'll translate it as well. So I can go from there. Nightmare, what's up, man? Do you still coach Black Ops? Oh God, man, you're taking me back now. I guess the short answer is not really at the moment, or just no. I mean, if the follow-up to that is it something I'd be interested in doing as far as kind of in the Call of Duty scene, or just maybe in the FPS scene in general, you know, on console, or maybe PC, but I guess this is probably more limited to console because that's kind of where I did a lot of that back then. I might. I just, you know, I haven't really kind of kept up with current titles. So, you know, for me, I would want to kind of look at the games first and kind of look at what the pacing is and mechanics and features first, you know, before maybe deciding on if it was something I was even, you know, kind of interested in, even if it was just doing lightly, so to speak. But yeah, no. At the moment, no. God, I haven't done that for years now. I loved it. I loved it when I did it, man. It was so fun. Just the scene was just pretty young at the time, so you know, there really wasn't a lot of I don't know if the right word is support or belief in such a position that early on in, you know, kind of esports and competitive FPS on console for that time. I guess you could even argue for PC as well, but PC was probably a little bit farther along when it came to acceptance, if you will, of coaches kind of in the scene. But it also depended on the kind of coach that you were. So, God, I could talk about that for hours. Cass says, got you. Good job, man. Cheers. Of course, man. Thank you. My man. Let me see here. Some other people hit me up. Kanoy did. Let me see. Yes, we have discussed this, although we currently have a list of allies and enemies. I will see the certainty after Brink of War ends. What can I... Oh, cool. Oh, hang on. Do I have VTR? 196. Do I have them here? Oh, I already have this matchup. Cool. Oh, Kanoy was nice to at least respond. $31.12. I think that was RK. Okay, yeah, so somebody hit me up and gave me an update on 31.12. as well. Yeah, that was the last thing I heard, was like things were still in talks. And I also heard that from someone in RK, but someone from DK just hit me up as well. I'll say thank you for the update. I do appreciate it. So yeah, because I reached out to Platty from RK, who was the queen there, and she had told me to go and hit up, I think, Randy. So I had messaged him. He was kind enough to reply, though had said that they're still in discussion. So someone else from that group just did as well. Let me see what Rhino sent me. Translate to English. Okay. Okay, cool. Let me see here. Okay, cool. So this is OPB. Okay. No, I'll take this. I will accept this, Rhinos. So let me let me update. Where are you now? Okay. Yeah, we'll say solo zone. Confirmed from Rhinos. Shot of Discord announcement. Cool. All right. I will accept. He says you didn't learn French at school. This guy. To be fair, no. I took Spanish, but did not necessarily pay too much attention. So I will just be a one language plebeian for English at the moment. But I do want to learn Spanish. Just not, yeah, no, just not on the French side. Okay, cool. Let me see. We can hit me up. Oh. Okay, nice. Oh, yeah, man. Mika's so nice. From RAC. Very nice. All right, cool. So basically kind of still in the same position, right? We got 3 we're waiting on right now for Road to Dawn, and then 2 we're waiting on for Road to Dawn, 3 we're waiting on for COC. But for the most part, really, I can get away if we get 3. So if I can get 3 out of 5, if I can get the 2 for Road to Dawn and 1 for COC, I'll be okay to release the video. But most likely, we're probably going to have to wait another day. So if we get an update, if I get everything, if I can get at least 3 out of 5 tomorrow that I need, then I'll put out the video. Otherwise, probably Monday. I would imagine that we'll probably do that one. Yeah. Like $1 million bucks. Noise. All right. Well, I think we're pretty good, man. At least with, I mean, I should say I feel good about what we have so far, because, like I said, we're only missing 5, mainly 3, and I guess the good thing about that is basically the majority of the KvKs were able to get solved within the first 24 hours. At least as it goes for diplomacy and who's going to be fighting against who. So yeah, there's absolutely some interesting storylines here. But I will say, for the most part, the one thing I am most excited about for this upcoming KvK is that a lot of the groups, especially from the top down, are pretty fairly balanced. And that's exciting to see, because that just means that psychologically that'll be a lot better for the players and for the kingdoms, because everyone will feel like they have more of a shot at winning, more of a chance at competing for Final Zone and Dragon. And also the challenge, of course, like with anything, and I think this is something that you have to recognize, is that when it comes to like the Zone 2 fighting, because it's kind of more ISO one-on-one matchups for the most part, or at least zone for zone matchups, the challenge there is that Zone 2s and Zone 3s can be a lot more lopsided than a Final Zone can be. And that's just because you're limited on who you're going to fight. So, you know, for me, that's one of the other reasons that you always kind of hear me talk about the excitement of a Final Zone, and how like it's just the most important, because it's the one zone that you actually have the opportunity for things to be the most balanced and fair. you know, based on how your diplomacy played out. And that's the other thing that people don't typically talk about a lot is when you are looking at a zone 2 and a zone 3, how you can get like really lopsided matchups. So, yeah. I mean, part of it is just like the game design, right? I mean, sorry, part of it is some of the map designs. There are actually ways to get around this to where you don't necessarily have these kind of like lopsided problems. And for those of you that recall, Torres, what's up, man? King of 48 MCU hype. If you recall, there was a drawing I did once upon a time. Maybe a month ago, I did a video on this where I had thrown out my idea for one version of a KvK map that would solve a lot of trouble, would solve a lot of problems. And I don't even know if I still have it. Let me see if I do. Paint. I don't even know. Let me see real quick if I still have it. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay, I still have it. I'm gonna show you guys. Here's my map design. Let me full screen this. Will that help? Okay. So so this is my map design. Very simple, but let me explain. You will understand. I did. Rhinos remembers. So I spoke about this. And so, like I was just alluding to, if you think about the fact that you're limited in who you are going to have to fight in a zone 2 and a zone 3, right? Because you can only go so far, right? In a zone 2, you have to fight who's ever next to you that leads into the zone 2. In a zone 3, you can fight adjacently, right? So you can fight to your left or your right, but you can only go that far. And the reason, so how I came up with this design was based on the old Bellerin Season 2 map. For the OGs out there, you remember this, where it was the triangle map. And in the middle, there was a mountain range in the middle, right? So effectively here, there was. And in that version of the map, it did not allow for you to cross. You were stuck. And there was 3 zone 1s on the west, 3 zone 1s on the east. Right? So it was kind of like split up here, 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 here. So, oh, can I do mouse? Where's mouse? Hang on. Crayon. Here, we'll do the bucket. There we go. So this is a little more visible here. So it was like down here, down here, down here, down here, right? You had these 3 zone 1s, right? Stereo, what's up, man? And so then you had this giant mountain range that went in the middle. The only intersecting point along this mountain range from zone 1 to the final zone was in zone 3, where there was a statue. Some of you may remember this. However, the problem with that map, or some of the challenges with that map, is that some teams, after diplomacy was done, opted to go on the same side, right? So in most cases, you would have multiple opponents of each other go on the same side, west or east zones. And what this means is that their KvK's PvP culminated in zone 3, right? That's where it basically concluded for them. In some other KvKs, fewer than the former, you would have it where they would opt to say, well, our team's going to go west, the other team's going to go east, but you don't get any PvP until the statue in zone 3, and then you get the final zone action, right? This was done in that infamous now KvK season that you probably hear me talk about often, which was between TFS and Nawar. And there was other kingdoms in there as well, like Dawn and Dusk were in there and a few others. But for most part, and for simplification, TFS and Nawar fought this out in that old Bellerin Season 2 triangle KvK map. So my adjustments, the reason I like that map is for a few reasons, but this is how I would adjust it. I would make it so the zone 1 is a massive zone 1. So instead of having separate, so you'd have 2 zone 1s, a west and an east. If you're doing, as an example, a 3v3, then you would do a 3v3, right? So it would be like three alliances each side. And let's do green. Oops, no, hang on, I just did green. Let me click off that. Let's do a different one. Let's do blue, maybe? Light blue? No, gotta figure out a color here. Orange, here, we'll do this one, right? It's like brown. So let's say you do a 3v3. You have 3 kingdoms on the west and 3 on the east, but they are all within inside a massive zone 1. Then you can have at least 3 passes if you want, however many, right? This is just an example. You could have 2, 3, 4 passes, and then there's a PvP zone. The green area is statue. And it probably would have been better for me to draw it where like the circle was above the statue, so the statue would still be there. The statue doesn't necessarily have to be inside the zone, right? The statue would arguably be, next to it. Statue would open. You could still fight your statue if you wanted to do that. But then there would be a neutral PvP zone that you would fight over. There could be rewards, objectives, however you see fit. This allows for every kingdom to participate in action from the beginning. And then from this, you get the same exact thing. Same thing happens in zone 2, except maybe in this PvP zone, the rewards are better. Maybe you get better buffs, etc. And then, or maybe the PvP zone is different. Maybe in this PvP zone, it's team deathmatch, or as an example or something, right? Or maybe that's the statue. Maybe the next statue, or this PvP zone is like domination or something. Wherever your mind might wander there. But the base idea is that everyone gets to participate in every zone, so nobody feels isolated. How many KvKs have we seen where multiple kingdoms get no zone 2 action, or potentially no zone 3 action, or worse, the KvK is over by the time you get to zone 3, or by the time zone 3 concludes? In this version, every kingdom gets action, and then you go all the way to the final zone where you fight it out, and then after a period of time, if you want to invade your opponents, then these passes open up in reverse order after you get into the final zone. So you still get the best of both worlds. So anyways, this is my idea for how I would envision one KvK map variant that I think would actually solve a lot of the KvK problems that we face right now, and we've been facing for now almost 2 years. So, yeah. I will field any questions. And if none, that's fine. But I just thought about it and I was like, oh man, I think I have this still. Yeah, man. Yeah. Kanto says, yeah, we are getting no zone 2 fighting this season. Very boring. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, man. Absolutely sorry to hear. Let me see if I... Mm-hmm. Mm. Rhino says we wanted to go 2v2v2, like that we had fights in every zone, and final zone should be chaos, but no one wanted that. Everyone wanted to go 3v3 zones. We didn't want it, so we go solo. Yeah. There you go. Raz, what's up, man? Yeah. Mm. Russ says, did you look into that site, man? No, not yet. I was actually just trying to find our DMs real quick so I could open it. As I'm going to be honest, man, I had just completely forgot. But I think it's just not coming up because I'm in the developer mode on my Discord. Let me try and disabling this. Razor. Shantas, pipes. Huh. Oh, hang on. Oh, dang, I thought I had just saw you. Oh, here we go. That was TW. Okay, I think I got you now. Just had to go find it real quick. Oh yeah. You said it was Guten. Oh, I see it. This is so funny. That's pretty hilarious. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm about to look into this more. I'm just taking a look right now at a couple of these. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't say. We'll do that. Yeah. Oh man. All right, fam. Listen, we are at about 2 hours right now. And I appreciate I wasn't necessarily planning to go this long because, you know, we didn't really have kind of like a lot to get into. But, man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I will say, for those of you that want to hang out a bit longer, I am going to be streaming again here. I'm going to turn this off and I'll restart the stream here in a moment. I just got to go walk Max and probably grab a little small bite to eat. I'm actually going to come back and probably do some Halo Wars 2 streaming. So some of you that were hanging out with me last night probably saw me. I was playing that console RTS game, but you can also play it on PC. I think it's cross-platform. But and I think some people were saying it looked like Warhammer 40K, which I haven't played. I haven't played that. But yeah, I'm probably going to come back on here maybe in about 30 minutes or less, and stream some Halo Wars 2 action. So I was having some fun doing that yesterday, and so I think we'll probably come back on here in a little bit and do that. So for those of you that want to hang out, or watch me play more of a traditional RTS game, because that's what it is, something a little bit more along the lines like a StarCraft, a Command and Conquer, Age of Empires, etc. That's a little bit more of its genre, but it's a great game. Die-hard community. I think the game's been out for like 8 years or something like that right now. But yeah, it's pretty fun. So I used to play it pretty competitively for the first 2 years, I think it was out. So yeah, I will probably be doing that here in the next 30 minutes or so, and restart the stream up on there. But yeah, man, listen, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Next time, I do have to look through some of the KvKs just to see if there's going to be any like pass openings or wars that are happening. And if there are this week, we'll definitely try to cover those as well. But yeah, that's the plan for tonight. And then tomorrow, we'll probably do some other coverage and then wait until just all the matchups are announced. And then we'll put that out. That's it for me. So yeah, I will see you all in a little bit for those of you that want to hang out. And otherwise, if not, I hope you have a good rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be. And as always, man, it means a lot. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Take care.